Welcome to Not Nerd. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Howdy there, partner.
With his pro tip of the week.
Took me a minute to find my button on that one. So, Nate, have you ever heard of an Apple ID?
I have heard of an Apple ID.
Apple IDs are things like a Gmail account. So just a quick reminder, like your Gmail is your email account, but it's also your Google account. If you want to log into your Drive or your Sheets or your Docs or whatever, it's your Google account, but it also serves as your email account. And you do have the ability to use alternate email accounts as your Google account, but it's not your Gmail account because the Gmail is just for Gmail.
Yes. It
So
can
it's
be
very
the same
confusing.
email address. Like my Apple ID is now the email address I type in to log into my Apple ID is nateheath@gmail.com.
Right. It's
Which
like an
is my
alias.
Google account, but yes, it's just the unique identifier to log into my Apple ID.
Yeah, well, this is more commentary than a tip, but I recently worked with a client who has an iPad that belonged to a relative. The relative's in a care facility. The care facility people created an iCloud account for this device and linked it to a caretaker's phone number.
Yes.
The caretaker forgot the password for the Apple ID so that it cannot be easily wiped and given to the client who's going to be using this device. So the rigmarole is, hey, my Apple ID is name@appleid.com, but the email associated with that Apple ID account is the same email. So when they try to send you information about how to reset your password, they're emailing it to the same account that you can't get into. So the alternative is to send you a text message to the phone that is owned by not the person who owns the device, but a third party. So it's been very convoluted in trying to solve this problem. Ended up changing the password of another account that wasn't even involved with it, just due to ineptitude.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it's going to take 2 weeks for Apple. Oh, yes, and there's my balloons again because I used the number 2. It's going to take 2 weeks for the Apple support team to vet the phone number and to allow it to unlock the account with the password reset. Now, the phone that was attached was an Android device, which makes me think that's probably why it's taking longer. Had it been an iPhone, it may have just said, oh, that's a trusted device. And yeah, it's a pain. So my tip.
So pro tip.
Yeah. So the pro tip
We've got your agony. Give us the tip.
The tip is record your passwords somewhere, please. Apparently this password was placed on a sticky note and put upon the box in which the device came from. Well, you know what happens to sticky notes? They fall off. They get thrown away. They get lost. So, and then the memory of the person who created the password can't remember it. So I implore you people, give a little thought and understanding to what you're doing when you create different accounts and you assign things to different email addresses, because you may need to access that information to unlock a device, because today all these devices are locked down hard. So I recommend Bitwarden as a password manager. It's available on
Yes.
iOS, Android, Mac, PC, and through your web browser, many web browsers.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to use it. Um,
Yeah.
do yourself a favor. If you're not doing that, make a spreadsheet. Put your passwords in
Yes.
there. If you're not doing that, have a notebook or a thing. Don't
Send it to a friend. Do
email it to
whatever.
yourself.
It's
Something.
yeah.
Don't
Yes.
stick it on a sticky note hoping that sometime months or
On a
years
box.
later that the sticky note will still be there. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's my
Yeah,
tip.
I actually have a stack of iPads from a client that has several offices that it was people's personal email accounts. I've tried reaching out to some of them if
Hmm.
I could figure it out, figure out who the employee was, all this stuff. And yeah, they're just bricks now. But we've got Chris Kent in
Mm,
the chat, and he is requesting a pro tip for Apple Pay. The Apple Card comes up first, but I don't want to use that account. How do I switch the default payment card? To which, while you were droning on,
yes,
explaining that very well,
I
I went
was
in on my iPhone
ranting. Is what I was. Oh,
settings app, and then if you scroll down to Wallet and Apple Pay in the settings app, that's going to
okay.
show up. It's a ways down there. And then if you scroll to the bottom of that or the middle of that screen, there are transaction defaults and you can set your default card. So like, yeah, I don't want to use my Apple Card for everything, so I'm actually going to go in there and choose my Amazon Business Prime card
And mine
as
is
my
my
default.
Costco Anywhere Citibank card. That's what mine
Yes.
is.
So we're solving pro tips while you're giving pro tips.
Yeah.
And Wes, I just use 12345 as my password. Problem solved. That
Well,
does solve that problem. You are correct.
the two people I were talking to both said, "Well, I just use the same password for everything." And I was like,
Yes.
"Of course you do. Of course you
Yes.
do. You're the
And Chris
reason
said,
my
wait.
23andMe
Yeah.
info has been compromised."
Chris said, "Wait, how did I miss the intro music?" It
Well,
was there. I was thrown off a little bit at the beginning because last week I couldn't hear the music, so I was just sitting there like a deer in the headlights. And this week there's a little delay from
yeah,
when we went live, so it's like, is the music playing? And then I showed up and I'm like, how do I
yeah.
start the show after 425
There was
episodes?
a little delay on the music, so I wanted to make sure I had everything in order before I hit the music. But the
Yes.
music should have been there.
Yeah, yeah. We can try that out. And
Oh,
I don't know if you can
what do you
see
got here, Nate?
my color there. It's kind of a dark green.
Looks
And this,
bald. Oh,
I was
not through
able
the.
to, yeah, I was able to retrieve one of my boxes of hats in the garage the other day when I was doing something out there. And I found this one. Dave, what does that say there? Can you read it?
2005 Western Pennsylvania Church of the Brethren Men's
Yeah,
Fellowship. Am I
yes,
right?
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Very
And
cool.
have I ever been to the Church of the Brethren Men's Fellowship? No. Have I been to Western Pennsylvania? No. Was I around 2005? Kinda. But
You
yeah,
were around.
just another prime example of the hats that come out of my collection. No idea where I got this one. Probably a Value Village find
Yeah.
back in the day. But yes, the hats continue. And Dave, you did tell me
Mm,
pre-show we should have gotten some funeral music.
mm.
You are, or air horn. You are discontinuing your mug of the week, to which I had said several episodes ago that I had a mug to use when you were wrapping that up.
Yeah.
And so I have got this gem right here. Man, that get my face out of there. Your
Your.
father's mustache.
Okay. What is that?
Larimer Square, Denver. Now, this is a mug, but people always tell me about these because they come up, posts and stuff. This
Oh.
mug has a mustache saver on it.
Oh,
This
wow.
is
Look at that.
designed that you drink and it will not get the drink on the mustache.
That's
So,
amazing.
yes, I don't have anything in there. I use it as pen storage. On the back, it says
pen storage.
where, where the time of your life is right under your nose, which is something I need to live by.
Yeah,
Man, that
that's
light is
amazing.
bright. Yeah, so your father's mustache. I think I purchased this bad boy on eBay after I became aware of that style of mug.
Is your father's mustache a bar or is it just a brand?
That is a great question. You would think I would have looked that up at some point
Hmm.
in the 10 plus years I've owned this. Your father's mustache
There's a Your Father's
in
Cigar company.
Larimer Square, Denver. I went to Denver. I should have looked this place up.
I was going to ask if you'd been to
Uh,
Denver.
your father's mustache band in Denver, Colorado.
Hmm.
I see another one on eBay for 25 bucks. So who knows what
Yikes.
it is, but they made a whole bunch of these mugs because they're still on eBay.
You know,
Larimer Square Restaurants.
I was thinking it's my father's cigar or my father
Ah,
cigar. I don't know
yes,
why you would
your
name your cigar
father's
company
mustache.
my father.
And it looks like maybe it was a Larimer Square restaurant in the
Mm,
past. I found a post of Denver's historic district.
man, so
So
glad we know
everybody
all
can
that.
rest easy now
Hmm.
that we know all of that information. You don't only learn tech here, you learn so much more, but we should probably get back to some tech with some follow up. And here is one of those mind blowing statistics that does not seem like it could be true. This one's for producer Todd, who has not entered the chat tonight. He did let us know beforehand he had a prayer commitment. Hopefully, he'll make it before the end of the show. But listen to this
I hate it.
and hold on to your brain. The first release of Internet Explorer in 1995 is closer in time to the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969 than it is to now. So more time has passed since Internet Explorer was launched than from the moon landing to when Internet Explorer was. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't. I that is hard to believe. 1995, the year I graduated high school. So the year I graduated high school is also closer to the Apollo 11 moon landing than
hmm.
today, which for some reason it seems like to me we keep getting older.
It's weird how
Does
that
it?
works.
Yeah, does it? It's a conspiracy theory, but yeah, I saw that one. It was actually a Mastodon post, as you
Hmm.
brought up there on the
Yeah,
live video, but
yeah, good old
I
Mastodon.
came across that, and man, that makes my head hurt.
Yeah, it's
Well,
always
it was just.
hard to think about that
Go
type of
ahead.
stuff.
Yes, yes. The way time, the way time
The
works.
team,
Well, let's
it never
start.
stops.
There's
It
another
keeps going.
podcast for us to do.
What is
The
time?
way time works. That would be fun. Well, we were talking about it just last week. I forget who it was on last week's episode that we were talking about layoffs. Oh, it was Amazon's eliminating hundreds of jobs at Prime Video and MGM Studios that
Hmm.
we discussed. Well, uh, tech layoffs balloon in January as Wall Street rally lifts Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft to records. So, while they are setting records on Wall Street, they are laying off tons of people. So far in January, some 23,670 workers have been laid off, the most in any month since March, according to website layoffs.fyi, which is a website that I need to frequent. Layoff. I did not know that .fyi was a top level domain. I might have to go register. Let's pause the podcast. I'm going to go register
All
some
right,
domain
everybody just hang out.
names. But yes,
I
yeah.
I had to zoom in on Star Trek's data. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg
Yes.
here for a moment. Uh,
Uh,
there we go. Um,
that picture that they chose was not
they're all
in his
three
best
like
light, we will
mouth
say.
open talking. So why is it that these companies are making record profits and laying off people? Are they making profits because they're laying off people, or they just want more profits?
Yeah, it's like, did they announce they were going to be laying people off and then their stock price goes up? And this stock market, hot take, the stock market is such a false sense of
Everything.
reality.
Yeah.
Like I just don't know. And I actually saw, sadly, I happened to go on LinkedIn because I got a message from our friend down under, Elliot, on there, a post he had shared with me. But I just happened to look at my feed, and a friend of mine got laid off from Cash, like the Cash app,
Mm.
today, which is a company owned by Jack, who was the
Jack
CEO
Dorsey?
of Twitter, Jack Dorsey.
Yeah.
He also owns the Cash App, and they had some massive layoffs today, and she was part of that, which is a bummer. But yeah, that's man,
What's the
that
deal with
the
that?
layoffs, the tech layoffs, and then I want to see the full graph. I didn't scroll down far enough into this very lengthy article to see if they end up like hiring them all back by the end of the year. Like what's the benefit to them for laying off so early in the year? I don't know.
Taxes,
But
probably.
2 years in a row of mass tech layoffs in January, which is if you need a job, Not Nerd is hiring. The pay is wonderfully
Yeah.
nothing.
If you're interested in working for $0 for a good cause, it's
Yeah.
almost like we should make a nonprofit. Then
Yes,
people will
yeah,
feel
we
good about
should be a nonprofit.
working for us. I mean, we are
They
a
could donate.
nonprofit, but not officially.
Well, yes, not a government recognized
We're a negative
nonprofit.
profit company.
Yes. Oh, wow. Chris Kent says Western PA Church of the Brethren is about 5.5 hours southwest of me. I will send you the hat, Chris. You drive down there, take a picture in front of the church. We'll Photoshop me into the picture,
Oh, that's a
and
good
then you
idea.
drive home, and then you send me back the hat.
Hey, Nate, I'm going to
Sounds
point
like a
out
plan.
this is about the
Yeah.
time where I point out that you might be a little chunky there on your
Oh,
video
my
feed. Now, it could be my
chunky. Let's
problem
see if anything
or it
is.
could be your problem. We never know these
I
things.
think
Like,
it's,
what is the
yeah,
deal?
I think just like 20 minutes into the podcast, it's just like, oh, I'm working real hard. I'm going to slow down for a second, but I don't.
I
I'm
see
checking
zero
my
drop
trip mode.
frames on my end.
Yeah, and Firefox, the browser that I only have a window to run my video feed, is the only thing using significant data. So, unless something else is on our network, I'm going to blame Isla and Roblox
That's
as
truth.
the culprit of that.
Well, you sound great,
Just a
so I'm not going to
couple,
worry about it too much.
yes, yes, and people have my face ingrained in their memories.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
this next one, great news. Amazon Prime Video ads start from today, and they are saying you
Yay.
will have up to 3.5 minutes per hour, which they claim is much lower than many other streaming services. And if you are a normal TV watcher, what is it? About 12 to 13 minutes per hour is commercials on regular programming. So
Well,
yeah, unless you want to pay that extra 2.99 a month to get the ad free, but I do not use Prime Video enough to make that worthwhile.
here's the deal. I was
Yes.
watching a movie that came out a long time ago, Captain Phillips, and I
Oh,
wanted
yes.
to find out what streaming service it was on, and it was on Amazon. But it wasn't Amazon proper, it was Amazon's Freevee. Like I went to the
Oh, yeah,
Amazon
the
app,
freebie.
but
Yeah.
it was their Freevee channel, so it had ads. The ads were so numerous that you know what I did, Nate? I went online, I went to a website where you can stream videos for free.
Yeah.
I hacked it with my downloading software. I downloaded the video, I uploaded it to Plex, and I finished watching the movie on Plex. It took me about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is if you can sail the high seas, maybe you should. But no, the moral is if you're a streaming platform company, you best make it fair to the consumers or else
Yes.
the consumers are going to cut you out of the process. So, with this 299
Yeah.
ad hike, a total of 3 minutes for a movie or whatever is not bad. Or was it per hour? Is that what it
Yeah,
was? So a two
per
hour
hour is
movie.
what they're saying.
I mean, if it's like one block of ads at the beginning and one in the middle, fine. This was like every 15 minutes there'd be some stupid ad. And as a sidestep, I was on Peacock the other day, and I have the ad-free version. But some programs, it's in their disclaimer says may still have ads, live events and
Yeah.
various shows. It always seems to be the one that I pick has the streaming commercials, but they would do ad breaks so often, and guess what the ads were? They were just ads for Peacock and other Peacock shows. It was not like a
So it's
detergent.
like not even something that you can.
It's I already have your service. Get,
Uh,
you know what I mean? I'm paying you.
yeah. Yeah.
Stop selling me you. I'm already paying you, and you interrupt
Yeah.
my program. So it just something's not right.
Yes. Yes. Well, I've got some real time follow up on my
On the church
network
in Western
thing.
Pennsylvania.
Yes,
Oh,
Western Pennsylvania. The pastor is John Phillips. Oh, no. So, previous pick of the week, my Unify Dream Router,
yeah.
I logged in, which manages my internet connection, and I am looking at my device list, and my MacBook Pro is uploading a lot because I'm streaming live video. But that's only 10 megabits per second, where I have about 800 megabits per
Mm-hmm.
second technically going through there. The second highest is the iPhone
Back
SE that
blaze.
Isla
Oh.
uses to FaceTime with her friend Abigail in California, and that's
Ah.
doing 4 megabits. So I'm only using like 15 megabits of data total on my network, so that should not be an issue.
Now, did we
Ugh.
determine if you were running off of Ethernet or Wi-Fi?
Oh, I that is one thing I forgot to do pre-show was turn off my Wi-Fi. So maybe that's causing some problems. But other than that, it looks pretty good.
Oh, it
So
looks good. It's just a little choppy.
besides, yes, yes, indeed. Okay, well, this next one we're not going to dive too deeply into the details, but Microsoft has closed a loophole that created Taylor Swift deepfakes, which took X in the world by storm. Somebody used the Microsoft, what's the name of their
Oh,
image creation
it's on my
software? It
phone.
is Designer.
Oh,
So one of their image creations is Designer, and somebody apparently had used that to make some inappropriate images of the superstar Taylor Swift. So a lot of people were paying attention to that, and she gets lots of other news because of Travis Kelce and the Kansas Chiefs, and now there's right-wing conspiracy theories about her going to be the vice president. I've seen it all, but
vice
what it,
president
I
of
know
what?
it's so here's the thing. Taylor Swift has some very similar characteristics to Apple because they're both so popular. Anytime anybody makes up anything or anything happens, everybody talks about it. So it's
Mm.
that same effect. But apparently, Microsoft found this and fixed it, and those images have been banned from the internet, and I'm sure people will be arrested. And a related story, the deepfake era of US politics is upon us,
Mm.
referring to a case where robocalls were done with a AI voice of President Biden
Mm.
that went out, and it was the message was basically, I think, telling Democrats in New Hampshire not to vote in the primary, which the the primary, I think Joe Biden,
So
he is
was it old Joe
currently
saying,
the front runner.
"Hey there, don't vote this
Come on,
primary.
man.
Don't vote."
Yes, yes, and I will quickly remind people that we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet. But yeah, so be careful. Well, first of all, never answer your phone unless it's your
True.
mother or your
True.
spouse or a child. And second, if you're getting messages from the president, Um, don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you say. Don't believe everything you read. That's
Mm-hmm.
my motto. Don't believe anything.
You know what? I'm
Uh,
shortening it. My motto is don't believe.
don't believe. And yes, Chris Kent did say that it is actually the district office for the Brethren denomination. So maybe I need to put this bad boy up on eBay. This might have some little vintage 2005
Mm-hmm.
Brethren denomination. Man, who knew
Was that
what I
like
had
a
in that box in my garage for the last 15 years?
was that like a get together they were doing, or what is that? Like a retreat, or
Yeah, it was the Men's Fellowship.
yeah, so like a men's conference. Hmm.
Yeah, 2005 Men's Conference.
I bet they
Maybe
sang
I'll
some
have
Promise
to.
Keeper songs at that event.
Yes, I wonder if Dr. R.I.P. VHS has any VHS footage of that event, or if he can track some down with his vast network of VHS collectors.
Probably.
And one more AI gem for us. We were talking about the AI George Carlin
Mm-hmm.
comedy special that was put out. Well, following a lawsuit from the estate of George Carlin, the rep admits the AI George Carlin was human written. So they didn't even use AI to write the comedy special. They did use him for the likeness and
And the
the
voice.
video, but yeah, so it wasn't even written by AI. It's like, oh, we're busted. Well, it wasn't AI. Does that make it all right now? Which, if you go back to the Taylor Swift thing, I'm pretty sure people have been making inappropriate pictures of celebrities for a long time, and now that it's AI, it becomes a bigger issue.
So
I don't know.
here's something. Here's a ethical question. If
Yes.
I commission a human artist to create a painting or a Photoshop or whatever of Taylor Swift
Yes.
in
Yes.
a non-appropriate situation,
Yes.
could she like is that just art or is it you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like where's
Where's the line
Well,
there?
I'll tell you this. I think we're going to find out, especially after this hubbub this last week. But yeah, that's the part that perplexes me is where's that line of
And
now, I
also,
guess if you're profiting off of it,
well, also as a celebrity, you can't like if somebody like for example, if you have a thing that says vote Trump and you have a picture of Trump
yeah,
on there, his likeness, he can't sue you because he's a public figure and
yeah,
his likeness is just out there. So Taylor Swift is also a public figure. I don't know.
yeah,
If it's a
I
private
yeah,
person that's not known, that's one thing. But if it's a public figure, I don't know that
there's
they have
some
much
differences there.
to stand
And
on.
it's AI. It's not like when we had the issue years and years ago about people breaking into people's iCloud and then sharing pictures that
Well, yeah,
were their
that's
private
stealing.
property.
That is,
Yes, that's
you're breaking
stealing. That's
encryption, you're
not.
stealing. There's
Um,
all kinds of ethical issues. But if it's generating a
well,
picture, I don't know.
in the interest of the Church of the Brethren, we will we will move on because it's time for everyone's favorite segment, just the headlines. And let's check out that driveway cam if it's
Oh,
working. We had a speedy Amazon truck coming down your street when we checked on it before the show, but it is all quiet on the western front.
and a moment ago there was a car parked back, way back in the back part, with this
Yeah,
light shining towards my driveway for a good 2 or 3 minutes. So they drove away
they're
though.
probably trying to catch a glimpse of you recording the podcast.
Probably.
Someday, that's our goal is to have, see, we switch to the camera and there's just a crowd of people jumping up to look in your
Oh, that'd be great.
window and see you.
Like on
That's
Good
our,
Morning America when they're behind the
yeah,
thing or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
That'd be
and we'll
awesome.
send our weather correspondent out there to interview the crowd.
That'd be
Oh, the
amazing.
possibilities. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe because the things we could do if we had more fans
That's all we
would
need.
be amazing. Yes. Well, let us get back to just the headlines. NYC first to designate social media as environmental toxin.
Yes, and Amazon Ring stops letting police request footage in Neighbors app after an outcry.
Good.
Yes,
But Fossil is quitting smartwatches.
I just can't quit you, smartwatches. LG washing machine found sending 3.7 gigabytes of data per day from your washing machine.
Oh, and
Why?
no, I do not have one of those. But Google Maps can now navigate inside tunnels.
And the mole community welcomes them. Apple captures the
Yes.
most top spot in China's smartphone market. That's pretty significant.
Yes, yes. And even more significant, iconic Kim Kardashian Hollywood mobile game shutting down after a
That's
decade.
just sad.
And those are just the headlines.
Just sad that that game existed. That's what I was going to say.
Yes, yes. And let us give us feedback on the new
Yes.
alternate just the headlines where we switch back and forth so we get both of us chiming in on those lovely headlines that just weren't quite talking about for a while.
Yeah.
But what is worth talking about for a while are takes of the week. And I just turned on my screensaver. Let me turn that off.
Yeah. So
Uh,
this, I just want to remind people this is the section where we look at articles and we give you our takes on them. That's why
our
it's called
takes.
takes. Just
Break
the
it
takes,
down.
ma'am. Just the takes.
Yes. And I wanted to dedicate a section of this. Now, it might only be me being in the tech bubble that I've been hearing a lot about this, but I'm guessing there's probably some
Oh,
misunderstanding of what all these Apple regulatory changes mean. So, the biggest part is the European Union in Europe, that's where the European Union is,
convenient.
they created the Digital Markets Act, which is a bunch of regulations, especially on um, large companies like Apple, Facebook. I don't even know if X qualifies it. That you've got to be pretty big,
Mm.
but they've put all these things. A lot of the things are for the big companies, but there's stuff that applies to everyone. You will, if you want to know what to think about the EU and their regulations, they're the ones you have to thank for having those accept all cookies windows on most websites you visit. That was from the European Union. So if your website potentially has visitors from the European Union, you are supposed to have one of those cookie notices on your site. You might notice on notnerd.com, notpix.com, and I think every other website I've ever built, I have never put it on there because it is so annoying.
And if you're a guy like me who doesn't save cookies, I get to click those every time I go to a website because it doesn't
Yeah.
remember what I clicked.
Yeah. And what you click because you don't have any cookies there.
Yeah.
So, with this Digital Markets Act going into effect, Apple has detailed how they're going to meet their or supposedly they're what they're saying they're going to do. Now, some people are saying the EU might come back and say, "Oh, come on, you are making this way too difficult."
Mm.
So one thing it has to do, this article from Mac Stories I have, alternative marketplaces. So only in Europe, shortly, they will be able to have alternative app stores
Mm-hmm.
on an iPhone. Now, this doesn't apply to iPads, only iPhones, which is weird.
Hmm.
So the new program will apply to EU users only, and it will become available with iOS 17.4. And there's a new kind of iOS app that can install other apps, which will be available to any developer. But man, I've heard some other tech podcasts trying to describe how all this stuff works and how Apple's doing it and all of the hoops that you have to jump through to be able to do this. Like if you are starting an app store with payment, you have to have like €1 million in like escrow to handle refunds and
Mm-hmm.
issues with that. If you like are in one of the alternative app stores, you can't be on the regular app store. You still have to go through a bunch of checking. So that was our grand wish that we've discussed that you could just load any app you wanted on your iPhone and be able to do anything, even if it was stuff Apple would never let you do. Well, basically, none of that is true with this current iteration.
Hmm.
There's also, you don't have to, the alternative app stores won't have to pay a commission to Apple, but they do have to pay like 50 cents per user per year if you're over a million. I mean, the hoops and red tape and all this stuff on this is just mind boggling. And we have very few European listeners, but just remember it's not all the things we hope for. Apple has found ways around them, and it's
Hmm.
not coming to the US. But you can have different default browsers that use their own web engine. Everything on the iPhone currently uses Safari's WebKit
Right.
backend, and then they just make it look different, add different features like Google Chrome or
Well,
Brave or,
you say everything we wanted. I'm not.
well,
I'm one of those weird guys where I I'm on the side of Apple where I think
yes,
they
keep
shouldn't
us
open
protected.
anything up.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, I will
you can use
rephrase that.
you can use
Not the
Android
things
if you
we
want.
wanted, the things that we dream or the things that we thought would happen if this happened, that there
Mm.
would just be this wild west of iPhone, but Apple's saying no. And they're sticking behind their, this is only going to happen in Europe because
Hmm.
we do not believe that this is the best option, especially for security for people where we don't have to do this.
The only
Um,
the only thing that I could say is I can see Apple taking less than 30%. If they were to switch to 25 or 20, it might be a little more fair to developers. But outside of that, it's like they built a great
yes.
platform and many
Yes.
developers are making hand over fist money.
Yeah,
So,
so that is a very brief look at the European thing, and we do have a couple more stories, and we'll touch on the commissions.
hmm.
So, one of the big things that they have held off on a long time that is coming to everyone is Apple opens App Store to game streaming services. So
Hmm.
you've had several picks of the week in the past, the Xbox Cloud Streaming, GeForce Now.
Yep.
So
Luna.
they will be able to have game streaming services where you're on your phone, you open an app and you're actually playing the game on the cloud
Hmm.
on a server somewhere else so that you can get all the specs of a gaming computer while on your phone.
And this
So
one
this
just makes
is kind of
sense.
a surprise.
I mean, it just makes sense. Why does, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
because there's
I guess
still,
it's the same idea. Microsoft's getting paid for that streaming service, and people are consuming it on a device that Apple developed, but they're not really contributing to that application because it's all being streamed, just like a video.
yeah, yeah,
So I I
yes,
am on the side
indeed.
of this.
Yes, yes, this one seemed good. And then on the payment side, over the last couple weeks, Apple revises US App Store rules to let developers link to outside payment methods, but they'll still charge a commission. So you can have like one single link in one single spot that just links to a single page. You can't put any tracking or any custom code onto it that will, and you can say, you can click this link to pay on a separate payment method, but they are still on the hook for 27% instead of 30% of anything they sell. So Apple basically said, sure, we'll let you put this really awkward link into your app so that you could use Stripe or PayPal or whatever payment processor you want to use.
Hmm.
But we're just going to take off that 3% for the payment processing and still charge you all the rest. So it's another
There's
one of
no
those where
advantage.
developers, there's a lot of tension between, or supposedly there's tension between developers and Apple just because of how they lock things down. But I think you would agree with me, Dave, that developers need to thank their lucky britches that Apple has developed such amazing platforms that
Yeah.
people want to use so much.
It
Because, yeah, you can go to Android, but are you going to make as much money? No.
it gives you an audience to one of the largest and most lucrative markets on the planet. So
Yeah.
you got to pay
Yes.
your dues.
Yes. And like we had in just the headlines, they're the it. Apple captures the top spot in China's smartphone market. So even everybody's always, oh, there's all these great China brands that, sell all these phones. Well, Apple's still leading. So when you do click this very specified link, in the person's app, it comes up with a big warning window that says, you're about to go to an external website. Apple is not responsible for the privacy or security of purchases made on the web, which takes up like half your phone screen. Any accounts or purchases made outside of this app will be managed by the developer. Example, your App Store account, stored payment method, and related features such as subscription management and refund requests will not be available. Apple can't verify any pricing or promotions offered by the developer. And then you
Learn
can
more.
continue or cancel. So,
Yeah.
yes, or learn more. But yeah, so that one, it's not really, I don't think many developers are going to use it. I think with that one too, there's something if you switch to that, like you can't switch back into the App Store later just because there would be that section of people that were using the other payment methods. So, developer, if we have any Apple developers listening to this, please think about it before you start signing on to these new things that they're allowing. Look into it, learn more.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, we've got a semi security and privacy story that is actually a very old story, but I just saw some people posting about it. And we might have mentioned this years back because this is referring to 2019. But the Oregon DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, took in 11.5 million with an M in 2019 by selling your
What?
information.
You know,
And
it's deplorable
I
that,
will stop you first.
well,
I will
okay.
stop you first
Okay.
because that headline sounds real bad and you think that, they're just selling it to Facebook or something. Well, as you dig in, you can find some more information that a lot of it is public records. And apparently, I tried reading through it. The DMV website links to some Oregon statutes of who can't purchase this data. It is regulated, and it's supposedly mostly like insurance companies or probably political parties, and they can get your driver. Well, oh, I clicked a link. Why is
Mm, I have it here on
the
the
Oregon
screen.
DMV website is not fast?
Hmm. Weird.
Um, but on the where do I go? Okay, so the DMV, the personal information is driver's license, instruction permit, or ID card number, name, address, and phone number.
Here's
And
a
they
hot take.
have lists of who can and can't. Yes, now go ahead. I just wanted to make sure we
Yeah.
got past the headline before you offered your take.
My hot take is it should be illegal for any government entity to profit off the private information of its citizens. Full stop.
Yes,
So
yes,
even if it's information accessible elsewhere and it's just more convenient to get it from the DMV so I can buy it and they have an API, no, it should just be illegal. It should be
yeah.
illegal. Full stop.
But they did. The DMV spokesperson said that it's not a major source of revenue.
Doesn't matter.
So
It's the
no, it's
potential
just like
for
it's $20
corruption.
million. It's yeah. It exactly. And I'm sure that data does make its way into data harvesters, which is big money. Oh, and important live update from Chris
Yes.
Kent. Church of the Brethren Western Pennsylvania District Conference is October 24th. Plenty of time to plan your trip to Camp Harmony,
Hmm.
which, Dave, I'm going to say it now. No CES next year. We're going to the Church of
Oh,
the Brethren, Western Pennsylvania District Conference.
man,
Equally as exciting for our viewers
they're
if we were at
practically
that
the same
conference and
thing.
I was wearing my 2005 hat. Yeah.
What would
Man,
I
Chris, thank
wear?
you for this real time research.
You're gonna have to dig in your box for
I
another
know. We'd
hat.
find you another one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Am I still looking jerky on your side? I am looking, seem
you
to be
are.
jerky on my side.
You're just a
But I don't
jerk.
know if I dare turn off the Wi-Fi because that seems
Well,
to
the worst thing
cause
that'll happen is I'll
some
just lose your feed
issues.
and I'll have to vamp for 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's start the next story I'll let you go on a hot take about it,
Oh boy.
and then I will try turning off my Wi-Fi and we'll break the internet. But another security and privacy one. iPhone apps secretly harvest data when they send you notifications, researchers find. So, iPhone apps, including Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and X, are skirting Apple's privacy rules to collect user data through notifications, according to tests by security researchers at MISC Inc., an app development company. Users sometimes close apps to stop them from collecting data in the background, but this technique gets around that protection. The data is unnecessary for processing notifications, the researchers said, and seems related to analytics, advertising, and tracking users across different apps and devices. Some of the companies involved said these findings are inaccurate.
Hmm. Well,
So basically, they when it sends you notifications and you dismiss it or whatever, they can get tiny bits of data. I think LinkedIn was the only one that responded to Gizmodo on this article, and they said, well, we're just trying to figure out if there's any issues and make sure everything's going okay. Which, if any company I would trust, it'd be LinkedIn. They're just like the accountants of social media
yeah.
that are kind of boring. But if Facebook and Meta and TikTok are involved, the sky's the limit.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
do you have anything to say about that? And I'll try to turn off my Wi-Fi.
yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, my thoughts are that those companies are going to use any piece of information that you can give them to get any type of analytics, to get any type of trajectory, to get any type of anything so that they can add it to the list of information that they have about you. They have no qualms, they have no problems, they have no restrictions on how far they will go just to get the tiniest bit of information on you. And it's it's a sickness. It's they're addicted to gathering as much data and sucking up as much data about every user as possible. And it's not needed. They just need basic info on customers to do what they need, but they can't help themselves. They can't stop themselves. And honestly, it's probably a clinical problem. And we're going to see generations of therapists who are trained to deal with sickos like this who have to have all this information and control of other customers, of their customers. I think
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Well, it all boils down to money because that's how they make money on off ads
But
is if they have
it's the
better
diminishing
information
returns,
about
right?
you.
It's like, is one
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
vector going to give them more money? Not really. It's what it's truly doing is making my security less because
Yes.
if people get a hold of all this information, they've got more information about me if it's a nefarious person. So they're exposing me to
Yeah.
potential harm. Anyway, and that's
Yes.
my hot
Yes, indeed.
take. That's not very exciting.
Where where's your air horn? You need the air
That's
horn
my
on that
hot
one.
take.
Uh,
So I noticed you went away
DJ
for a moment.
Dave.
You went away for a moment, but you're
Yes.
still chunky. Oh,
Oh,
and you're stuttering too.
this is ridiculous. Oh, good. So I turned off my Wi-Fi and everything's gotten worse.
Yeah.
That should not be the case. Lovely. Well,
Well,
anyways, we're
maybe it's on
nearing the
my
end,
end.
so
I
we
don't
will
know.
just plug along. Well, it could be. It could be. Let's cleanse our palate after those two stories with our bonus odd take.
Wait, there it is.
Well, this one is a fun one, and we have not mentioned this yet, but happy 40th birthday to the Macintosh computer, the famous 1984 commercial. It has been 40 years since the Macintosh, which is much closer to the Apollo 1 moon landing than it is to today.
Yeah. Sorry, I was distracted. I was
Uh,
looking at my network switch just to see if it was working. It is kind of
just
blinking
to see
pretty
if it was
fast.
working. But I found a great little website via kotkey.org, like I usually do, mac40th.com.
Hmm.
And what this is it has just a plethora of Macintosh computers, history on Macintosh, brought to you by Ridgewood Publishing. I thought there was a name tied to this website that I recognize, but you can go through and look through the G4 Cube. They've got different advertisements. You can see images of the different Macs over the years. They are not in uh, release date order. I do not know what the order is here, if it's just completely random.
And these are just
But man, if you have been around
pictures,
Apple for a while,
pictures and
there's some
YouTube
pictures.
videos.
There are some videos. Yeah, so it's. I thought there was more history stuff on here. There's a little story at the top with some links, but then yeah, just a whole bunch of Mac stuff. And man, when you get into some of those, even some prototype laptops, you forget how clunky laptops were. I
Hmm.
saw a video online the other day of some laptop that had, I mean, this thing was an inch and a half thick and had every port imaginable to man on this thing. And it's like, yep, that's why we have gotten rid of some ports so they don't have to be 2 inches thick. But
So,
oh,
um,
40 years of Macintosh.
what was your first Mac? Do you remember?
My first Mac was I believe the 1999, or maybe it was released in 2000 at Macworld, the lime green
Mm,
iMac. Maybe the first generation of the 5 color iMacs, and I went for the lime green, which I still have downstairs. But
interesting.
so 1999, that was 25 years I've been using a Mac now. That's pretty crazy.
Well, we've talked before. I had the grape version, but that was not my first Mac.
Yes.
My first Mac that I used, and I wanted to pause on this picture here. Uh,
Oh,
look at the
nice.
old interface of the Mac. It's so
Oh,
hilarious.
yes. Oh, yeah. How far the interface has come.
So my first Mac that I used was probably one of these. Might have been the
Yeah,
classic. It might have been a classic. Which did they have that in here? Like you said, they're not in
I'm
order.
sure. Yeah, they're in some random
So
order, but I'm sure it is in
first
there.
one I used was like this. And if I recall, the first one I purchased was used from a uh, roommate, and it was one of
Mm.
these dudes.
Oh, yes.
Terrible. It's black
The
and
old
white.
power.
It could
Look how tiny
barely
that trackpad is.
it could barely do anything. Now, I'm pretty sure it was this one and not the one with the trackball. I did not have one with the trackball. That was the
Oh,
Duo.
no.
So it was a power book, and I think it was the 520.
Yeah.
But it's like the plastic would
Wow.
come apart. The keyboard, if I recall, lifted up, and that's how you change the battery. Well, not maybe not the battery, but the RAM
Oh,
and stuff was under the keyboard,
yeah.
and then the battery slid into the side. And look, there's the contrast and brightness buttons right there. It was not a very good experience, and kind of pre-internet or big at the genesis of internet, it was hard to get information on there. You had to load it on with disks, and you could get online, but it was not a good experience. And so anyway, I'm old.
Yeah. 40 years. That is pretty wild. Well, you know what else is pretty wild? Our picks of the week. Ooh,
Yes,
neighbor's home on the driveway cam. Is
neighbor
that your
flew
pick of
in.
the week? Your neighbor? Got a nice neighbor?
It's okay. Okay. Um, I'm not liking how fast people are driving down that street. What if there was ice? They
Yeah.
just slide
You
right
need
into
to,
the
your
end.
HOA, you need to get out there, put your HOA vest on there and get out and write some violations.
I'm gonna get an orange vest and some traffic cones. And when they start speeding down, I'm gonna flip out a cone so it lands right in front of their car as they're driving, and they're gonna
Yeah,
run over it. And
do
then I'm
it.
gonna go up there with my pad and be like, "Clocked you doing 90." And they'll be like, "That's impossible." And I'll be like, "Well, I don't have a radar gun. I'm just going by what I think." Anyway.
Yes.
Oh, so
Citizens
picks.
arrest.
We were talking, yeah, citizens arrest.
Yes.
We were talking about picks of the week, and you have a mysterious one, but mine is brought to you today by, well, I should say this, the lighting, which is not quite bright enough right now, is brought to you by my pick of the week. And that, my friend, is the SmallRig P200 LED video light panel, 10-inch key light, 2500 to 6500 K, 98 plus CRI, 192 LED, which is weird lowercase, beads, etc., etc., etc. So I have
Yes.
3 of these dudes. Oh boy. So they look like this, and they have quarter 20 tripod mounts. Man, I hate this. Right
Oh dear.
there, and on over here on the other side. You can control it digitally. There's a beauty mode. You see that red
Oh
button?
yeah.
It'll set it to like 5200 Kelvin, 100% brightness or whatever. So you can just quickly set a default. And I think you can, if you set uh, color and brightness, you can, I think, hold it and it will make that your new preset or something. You can also, sold separately, put one of these batteries on there if you're out on a shoot. You can run them by battery. Otherwise, you can run them by USB Type C. I do recommend using the included
Oh,
power adapter
nice.
because plugging it into my thing, I think it was too little power and it was kind of flickering. So,
Uh,
so yeah, I bought 3 of those dudes. I got one as my key light, one is my fill light, and one is my backlight. And I'm getting, well, I probably won't get rid. I'm going to repurpose those little ones I bought like 10 years ago that change color, but
yeah.
they're this big, which is not big enough to give a good soft.
No.
So you'll notice
Soft light.
on my hat, there's a shadow, but it's kind of a soft shadow, and like the shadow of my hand. It's kind
Yeah.
of a soft shadow. Those old lights, it was like sharp, like
It's
night
like
day,
yeah.
bright
Laser
on one
pointer.
side, black on the other side, because they just weren't big
Yeah.
enough. They weren't soft enough. So this one is too dim, and this one's probably a little too bright. But I'm still working it out. So anyway, that's my pick. They're great. They're
Yeah.
a little expensive.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Small rig. Are they, can you do like app control, like remote
No,
control on those at all?
no,
Okay.
but watch this. Alexa, turn off studio. Alexa, turn on
No.
studio. So I have powered switches that they're plugged
Yes,
into,
that are
and
to
I could turn
turn
them
on
on and
and off.
off that way. But they
Yeah.
themselves have no wireless functionality. They don't even have a remote control, but they're pretty
Nice.
good. Chris
Very
Chris says
cool.
it's obvious that I'm using beauty mode. Well, thank you, Chris.
Yes, yes.
I
And
will
Wes
concur.
recommended spike strips to slow down your
Oh,
neighbors.
hmm,
Uh,
that's a good idea.
put in
So,
speed bumps. Well,
hmm,
my pick of the week this week, it is a certain time of year,
uh-oh.
and it is time. So I'm making this my pick of the week. I didn't
Okay.
do it before. Samoas.
Oh,
Girl Scout cookie season.
hold on.
I let you switch to
I
you.
had to feature my beauty
Not
mode.
Samoan looking men. Yeah.
So there it is.
Samoas. Now, this box here, the cookies are not available. They'll be out mid February. Pre orders are happening currently.
Well,
These
how
happen to
did you
be
get
some I
one?
stashed away. And just to make, I've had these since last year,
Oh,
but also they did get some cookies. That is loud packaging. But just to
my.
make everybody jealous, I'm going to have, and these got some wrapping in my mouth. These sat in the garage for eh, nearly a year now, but man, that coconut and the chocolate, and they're still chewy.
Hmm, they look great.
Rarely will we eat on the podcast, but
Yeah,
once
our
for a
listeners
Samoa.
are
Now,
loving that.
mm-hmm, I should mute myself. I won't even
Yeah.
finish the cookie, but I will finish the package after we get done recording.
Yes.
Uh,
Something I like to do as well.
I'm very bummed because I am who I have ilaheath.com
Mm-hmm.
as a registered domain, and I had that redirected to her Girl Scout cookie link. For some reason,
Oh,
for me, you could try going there, Dave. It's not working for me this evening. It worked earlier today, but I will have a link in the show notes where you can go pre-order your Girl Scout cookies, $6 a box,
Whoa.
and we'll be getting them mid-February. It's for the Girl Scouts. They get to go like horseback riding and donate to pet food nonprofits and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Well, as you're finishing your cookie, Chris says Nate is
Yes.
now extra chunky with his cookies,
Yes.
referring to your video.
He had referred to me being chunky. Yes.
Yeah. And
And Wes, can I reserve a 2:30 p.m. time slot for getting cookies? Now, I don't know if he's referring to my 2:30 time slot for picking up my Apple Vision Pro on
is
Friday,
is that
which
this Friday?
this Friday, in
Dang.
3 days, I will have an Apple Vision Pro and my life will change forever.
I
So I
mean,
don't know if I'll try to go live from the Apple Store. I don't know if my life will change forever.
it might.
I just got to have a little more cookie.
So recapping on the Vision
Yes.
Pro, look at this thing. It's putting my Quest 2 to shame. Um, Look at this. It's beautiful. And you know what?
Yeah.
This is
And the
really,
unboxing videos did come out today.
oh,
So,
really? This is making me want to
yeah,
up my
the
game on
from
my
all the big
MetaQuest
guys.
and getting the Quest 3 because I just feel like if I can't have
Yes.
the Vision Pro, I should have the best Quest.
Yeah.
Look
And
at
I
that.
think it was
Beautiful.
John Gruber from Daring Fireball in his written, he didn't do a video like all the YouTubers, but he said, I think he has the Quest 3 and then whatever one of the other ones is that's out there. And he's like, this thing isn't perfect, but man, it makes those things feel 20 years old. So
Hmm.
I will have them on Friday. So next week will be the Apple Vision Pro.
So
And Wes was referring to that.
maybe
Thank
I
you for the
shouldn't try
reminder, Wes,
yours.
to
It's going to ruin me.
it'll ruin it for
Yeah.
ruin everything else. Yes,
I'll try yours
I'm excited.
and then I'll
Yeah,
get the Quest 3 or yeah, the Quest 3 and it'll be like, wait, this is not even
yes. But when
close.
you look at your bank account, you'll be much happier. So that is the trade-off. But yeah, Girl Scout cookies, I'll have a link in the show notes if you would like to order and support my daughter and our family. My wife is one of the leaders, so I guess you're supporting her as well and their Girl Scout troop for some lovely cookies. There are no new cookies this year.
Mm,
It is the same lineup as last year, minus the raspberry, whatever it was, because those were just. So, did you go to ilaheath.com and it came up?
I didn't. I just typed in Girl Scouts. Well,
Oh,
let me
okay.
try it though. We'll
Yes.
do it real time.
Yeah,
We're only
ilaheath.com. I've got to look into that.
we're only 5 minutes over.
Yeah.
Oh, it redirected to right here. Look at this.
Oh, it did. For some reason on my
It worked
computer,
fine.
it's probably some weird DNS something that I
Yeah.
have. But yeah, ilaheath.com. You can go order your cookies. If you're somebody that I will see in person, you can select the pickup, or they also have shipping options on there. But get your orders in because sometimes they do sell out or there's shortages. It's a wild world, Girl
Look at
Scout
this.
cookie season. So
I could order 50
there you go.
boxes of every cookie and still be less than the Vision Pro.
See? There you go. Yeah, you'd have a year's supply of cookies
Couple
instead of a
months.
Vision Pro. I like it.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Ah,
I don't want the gluten-free ones. We're gonna do
no.
100 lemons.
Actually, the Toffee Tastic are pretty good,
Are they?
even though they are gluten free. Yes, I was pleasantly surprised by
No
those.
high
They did a good
fructose corn
job.
syrup. Thank you. That is not needed in
Yeah,
any
less
food.
of that in my life.
No
I know, it's
hydrogenated
everywhere.
oils. No trans fat.
The
Hala-
healthy one, Toffee Tastic. They're
and
good
it's
for you.
what is this? Halal certification? Kosher? Are we
Yeah,
so whether we're Muslim or um, Jewish, we can eat these?
Jewish. Yeah,
Nice.
see, the Toffee Tastic. They are they're a hot item. They're a hot
Look at
item. You
that.
know what else is a hot item?
What's that?
Our Ramazon purchase of the week.
Nope.
Close enough.
I need to
There,
move this button.
there it
It's
is.
always so hard to find.
Yes. So we love it when you guys go to notpicks.com, look at our previous picks, buy stuff, and I go through the anonymous reports. And somebody purchased the
Mm,
LE 3215 battery powered headlamp, 1500 lux super bright LED headlamp with red light. IPX for waterproof headlights for outdoor camping, hiking, hunting, power outages, emergency hurricane 2 packs.
what?
Somebody got 2 of these for $16. Maybe it was somebody around here while the power was out.
Hmm.
But yeah, these look like nice headlights. So if this was you, please let us know how they're working out for you. They have 4.5 stars on 11,000 ratings.
I
So
would say
I
that
have a
those are
feeling
worth
these
$8 a
are
piece.
good and to get eight
So,
bucks a piece. So
yeah.
thank you to whoever that was for going through notpicks.com to do your shopping. Chris Kent said it was him. Thank
Whoa!
you, Chris. How are the headlamps?
I wonder how they
We
compare to the ones
our
that you
first ever live. Yeah, I've had it
you had the
several.
one with the
My
strip.
collection of headlamps. What'd you
Yeah,
say? Yeah,
yeah,
the full wraparound.
yeah.
That thing is bright. It's hard to use around other people, but it is very
It's like a
nice. And I
halo.
have a
This one
very
seems to be
tiny
more
one, but
spotlight.
this looks like a yeah, but it looks to be a good like well balanced, not too big, not too small.
Well, there's Chris right there
Very
giving us a
nice
review.
purchase. Oh yeah, there he is. In, in his studio that if Chris Kent had that studio, we would just hand the Not Nerd podcast over to him and call it a wrap. So
Yeah,
far, so good, he says. So, our first ever real time follow up on the Amazon purchase of the week.
that's
It is a
amazing.
success. Our fans are shopping, notpicks.com. It is amazing. Oh, that is cool. I like that. What a connection.
Cool.
And that sounder never gets old. Well, with that, we will wrap up this episode. We got all kinds of stuff, and I got to start getting mentally prepared for Friday to pick up my
Oh,
Apple Vision Pro. Dave and I will be there
hey,
capturing the event.
so people give us
So,
some feedback. I mean, is it we could do a live stream from my phone of the whole
yeah,
deal, but it'd probably be a lot of
yeah.
dead air just standing there.
Yeah, I don't know how exciting it would be. That's the problem, or if we should just capture and put up maybe some
Yeah, we should
pictures or
probably
something
edit a
of it.
video, but
So,
that takes
yeah,
work.
I know that's the problem. And that is why we do this live show that you can tune in every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, or you can catch it later on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app or even on Ramble. So
Hmm.
you can get out there and tech better.